is what is going on, guys, and welcome back to another edition of Wednesday live stream. I'm Grim from WKU Consulting. I hope you got your questions ready because we are going to pop right into it. Without any further ado, let us go ahead and dive right on in to the content. Yo, let me know where you guys are hailing out of right now. Wisconsin popping off. Wisconsin is coming on deck. That is a beautiful, beautiful thing to see. They're finally legalizing recreational marijuana, medicinal marijuana. Missouri, I'm seeing it all across. Oklahoma popping off right now. Michigan, Illinois, Colorado, everybody getting ready to get into the game, the industry. And guys, we got some courses. Man, we're trying to partner with the college, to be able to offer you guys some courses. That way you can go and get a certified degree on cannabis chemistry. And I think that is going to be wonderful for the industry and their ability to be able to actually get in and take some of these courses. One of the things that I wanted to cover today, and guys, don't forget, like, subscribe, hit that bell button notification. It helps me out a lot, helps everyone around. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about today is the inflated THC crisis plaguing California cannabis. Cannabis consumers in California are being defrauded, and it's the Department of Cannabis Control's fault. I could not believe this when I read this. Come on, man. This is crazy. The THC content you see on a label when you walk into a dispensary? Question mark. There's a very good chance that the number is false. In every state with regulated cannabis, there's a requirement to label the potency of products so consumers can make informed decisions and medicating decisions when purchasing. The regulations usually state that the THC cannabinoid content on the label must be within a particular relative percent difference of the actual tested results for the product to be saleable. In California, that threshold is plus or minus 10%. Guys, plus or minus 10%, that means if I got something with like 2% THC, I can tell you it's 12% THC, which is like a low quality flower. I mean, this is wild. The problem is with all the focus on THC percentage, have you ever seen a THC flower, for example, in California that says 35% THC? I have. They're like, I'm growing 35% THC, and I'm like, dude, 35% THC is almost a concentrate. You're not growing anything with 35% THC. Let's be real. But it doesn't matter if you are or if you're not, because I can plus or minus a 10% on my label. I mean, California, they were one of the first to come into the industry, and I will say I'm ashamed. Shame on you, California. The problem is with the focus on THC percentage, imagine this, you got a concentrate that's 80%. So it's a decently extracted and post-produced concentrate, vape pen or something like that. But I can put 90% on my label. That's right. And so you think that you're getting a 90% cannabinoid, and then I'm charging you for that. Naturally, I would charge you for that, and then that's what you would pay me. The problem is with all the focus on the THC percentage in flower and concentrate products, enormous pressure has been placed on cultivators and manufacturers to push their numbers up. Higher numbers equals higher prices. But unfortunately, improving their growing, extraction, and formulation processes only gets companies so far. So they proceed to lab shop, or a better word for lab shop right here. Lab shop is lie through your teeth, giving their business to whichever lab provides them the highest potency. Analytical laboratories, you are just as much as fault out there. You are just as much as fault because you are also going to just take a couple of bucks off the top discreetly, pocket to pocket transaction, if you will. And that's where you get the Delta 8 and you get the door kicked in because you find out there's 4 or 5% Delta 9 THC in there. So all of these processes, when you see THCP, THCB, THCO, all of these different cannabinoids that they're extracting, well, the analytical lab can actually fudge the numbers a little bit. And that's why I only go to truly reputable analytical analytical laboratories because everybody is a crook in here together. So you pay a laboratory to boost your numbers just a little bit, and since you have a 10% buffer, it doesn't matter. Are you lying to the public and they're ingesting it and they're putting it in their body? Yeah, but that's okay as long as we are taking more of their money. There are roughly 50 Department of Cannabis Control licensed labs in the state, and competition is fierce to maintain market share in a maturing and plateauing industry. What's the difference? Maturing and plateauing, that's an oxymoron and a contradictory. Is it maturing or is it plateauing? Whereas competition used to be healthy and revolved around quality, turnaround time, and customer service, now has essentially become a numbers game. As a result, many labs have sacrificed their scientific integrity to chase what the clients want. Higher THC potency results without contaminant failures. The practice has become so prevalent that labs openly advertise their higher potency values to gain customers without fear of recourse. Here is an example, and we blacked out because we don't want that. Thank you for being a blah, blah, blah client. How can we help you grow your business? We can promote your brand. First off, that is a big red flag to me. You can't even spell brand right. Through our Instagram page. Oh, so free promotion as well. Great, you scientific. Chemists like this, they really do just upset me. To help you find outlets for you to buy or sell your products. Blank is proud to be back to our old ways. Lying crooks. Fast turnaround time, 3 business days. Great potencies. How can you guarantee great potencies? You cannot guarantee any potency other than the analytical potency that comes back on your HPLC. You buffoon. Great potencies, reliable results, reasonable pricing, and we will beat any competitor's pricing. So they're telling you not only will we give you a better potency than you've ever seen, but we'll beat anyone else on it, and for that we will also give you free marketing on our Instagram page. Guys, these are a bunch of crooks, and I understand if you're a CEO out there and you're just trying to play the numbers game as well and get your money, shame on you as well. Shame on you as well, man. I play with the big boys, and when you're talking about building large-scale laboratories all across the continental U.S. as well as the rest of the world, when I tell you that I play with and have made some of the biggest laboratories in the world, I have. But you guys know I'm not a proponent. I'm not a proponent of lying, cheating, none of that. So if it's your game plan to lie or cheat, I think that you are a bad person, in all honesty, because there is somebody that is using this for medicinal purposes. They're relying on these analytical laboratories that are relying. We're all relying as a consumer for the state to regulate things and make sure that we're not ingesting poison. Basically, they're saying, oh, there's a little bit of pesticides and heavy metals. It doesn't really matter. We can go ahead and just eradicate those little, numbers and percentages. We don't care what you put in your body. We don't care if it makes you sick. We just want you to buy our product. We want your money, and we don't really care about anything else. And I think that is just horrible. Shame on you. And I will use every avenue available at my disposal, whether that's YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Discord, all of the accounts that I have thousands and thousands of followers on. I will blow the top off of this thing because I think what you are doing is morally corrupt, and you should be ashamed of yourself. And that's why I harped on that for a while, because I think that is just bogus. California, shame on you. Analytical labs, if you're doing that, shame on you. Give a scientific explanation with scientific proof based on what the person is sending you in their distillate. And if you can't do that, quit, because you're a bad person. Okay, anyway. Brad says, hey, Grim, hope you're doing well. I'm doing great, Brad, other than my little, minute off-the-rail chart that I just went right there. Oh, man, I wish I could pronounce that name. I think that's in Russian or Ukrainian. Hey, so how much THC can be in good weed? I've seen upwards to 25%. That's really pushing the boundary. I have seen numbers on certificates of analysis saying, 35 to 40%. You would be astonished at the percentage that I've seen. But literally over 25%. 25% is a phenomenal flower. Over 25%, you're probably getting scammed. For flower, if you don't do a terp test, people dehydrate the flower, removing water to get a higher potency on your testing sample. Yeah, sure, I understand that, but there's only so much that you can do. And Justin, you are absolutely correct. It is all just a big, fat sales pitch. And man, I'm not one to bring a bunch of negative energy, especially to the live streams, but a few of these articles today just really got me perturbed. Perturbed. I tell you what, perturbed. Here's another one for you. The Biden Department of Justice, my gosh, guns and weed, yes, they go hand in hand. The Biden Department of Justice says medical marijuana patients are too dangerous to trust. To motion to D, too dangerous to trust? Who on marijuana is too dangerous to trust? Those are the most docile individuals that I know. What are they going to do? Rob you of all of your chocolate chip cookies? Come on, dude. Not saying that's a stigma. I'm not saying that you can't be highly professional or even dangerous at times if you're on marijuana. But these people, dude, these people, I mean, how much do you get? Where can I get into a boardroom or something like that where we just all sit around and someone pays us a lot of taxpayer dollars just to sit around and make things up and imagine these weird scenarios and then pass them into laws? I mean, these people, they sound like imbeciles to me. The Department of Justice, which, my God, I would hope that we can rely on because they are the backbone of our entire nation's infrastructure to keep criminals at bay, and this is the type of crap that they're sitting in a boardroom talking about. The Department of Justice asked a federal court on Monday to dismiss a lawsuit that seeks to overturn a policy blocking medical marijuana patients from buying or owning guns. So because you smoke marijuana, you no longer have a constitutional right to bear arms, which was written in our forefathers. They did not say in the, man, I just cannot stand things like this. They did not say in the Constitution that you have the right to bear arms only if you meet a certain group of stringent procedures. That's not what they said. You have the right to bear arms to protect your tyrannical government from overthrowing you. Boy, I better be careful. This YouTube, I might get this one in trouble, right? So anyway, right now you guys all know that if you have a medical marijuana license and not a recreational marijuana license, like, you can go and buy as much recreational marijuana as you want, and that does not deny your right to bear arms. But if you need it for medicinal purposes, then that in fact will bear you from your right to buy arms. And this is kind of a conundrum to me, because I would think that if it was the marijuana that makes you too dangerous, then whenever you are applying for your schedule, to get your gun or whatever, then should you take a drug test? Should you take a drug test for marijuana or every drug, for instance? If that was the case, if drugs made you a more dangerous criminal, which in some cases they do, then before you went to purchase a gun, shouldn't you be required to take a drug test? Well, we would say that is unconstitutional. There's no way that we could do this. Okay, then why are medical marijuana owners banned from protecting their property and hunting? Foolishness. Foolishness. So they asked the federal court to overturn it. The filing is primarily premised on the government's position that it would be too dangerous to trust regular marijuana users to exercise sound judgment with firearms. So basically, if you're a medical marijuana user and you have ulcers or whatever that you're using to medicate, that must mean that you are ready to kill people. In making its case for dismissal, DOJ also drew eyebrow-raising historical parallels to past gun bans for groups like Native Americans, Catholics, panhandlers who refuse to take an oath of allegiance to the government, and people who shoot firearms while drunk. Boy, have you ever been to backwoods Alabama? Half the people there, they don't even shoot correctly if they're not on a six-pack. I'm not saying this is a good idea. I'm just saying this is ridiculousness. The lawsuit at hand, which was filed by the Florida's Democratic Agriculture Commissioner, Nikki Fried, you go take a chill pill. And several medical cannabis consumers assert that the federal government is unlawfully depriving patients of their constitutional rights, they're correct, on multiple grounds. And the plaintiffs filed a revised complaint last month following a U.S. Supreme Court ruling on unrelated gun rights cases in New York. As plaintiffs anticipated, the DOJ submitted the motion to dismiss the case on Monday. The court imposed deadline for a response. The government provided a justification for its dismissal request in an attached memorandum, and I'm just going to quote. The memorandum uses the phrase medical marijuana for convenience, but Congress has found that marijuana has no currently accepted medical use. That's right. Your Department of Justice is saying that there is no medicinal use for marijuana, and therefore, if you smoke marijuana, it will impair your judgment, cognitive function, and physical coordination, and therefore you should not be allowed to have a firearm to protect yourself, your family, and or be able to hunt and get game. Wild. That is wild. For as much progress as we have made, I still feel like we are in the Stone Age. Justin says, I'm in Kansas, the little Manhattan, K-State. It's strict here, especially coming from Florida. I'm in the loop trying to slide through. Delta 8 THCO, THCP is what I'm thinking. You got any advice? Well, Justin, if you could, just in case. I like that. I just picked up on your name just now. Just in case. He gets a couple extra points for the cleverness in his name choice. So, Justin, what do you mean? What do you mean as far as advice? Advice on what? Delta 8 THCO, Delta 8 THCP? What kind of advice are you looking for in particular there, sir or ma'am? And I could better help you. I could better help you, I think, once I have that. Okay, so check this out. Missouri. Coming on deck, voters in Missouri to consider recreational marijuana. If approved, adults over 21 could purchase and use cannabis as soon as December 2022. Here's an old guy saying that, you need it. You need that. You need that. Columbia, Missouri, a campaign to legalize recreational marijuana in Missouri gathered enough signatures to make it on the November ballot, the Secretary of State announced Tuesday. If voters approve the constitutional amendment on marijuana, those aged 21 and older could buy and grow it for personal consumption as early as this year. Christmas might be coming early to all of you Missourians. Missourians. Oh, also with an EIN. Oh, you're talking to get a business registry number, Justin? Justin's talking about getting an EIN, which is, a registry number for tax-paying purposes. Yee! Well, I would tell you that, I can't tell you. I can't tell you. I could tell you what I did, but I'm just not willing to share that information on a public forum like YouTube. Not saying that I did anything illegal, just saying that it is very difficult when you get into federal taxpayers and marijuana. I would suggest that you do a bunch of research and talk with a bunch of people and see what you can come up with. Missouri voters approved medical marijuana use in 2018. Efforts to allow recreational marijuana use have failed to pass Missouri's Republican-led legislature for years, prompting advocates to go for voter approval instead. And so the people are speaking up, and they have decided that they want to be able to use recreational marijuana. So go you, Missourians. It's not all Missourians. It's not all a bad. It's not all doom and gloom out there, right? Some people are able to advocate and actually get their senators to do something. And so I'm proud of you guys, man. You guys got enough signatures to get that passed in the November ballot. And I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for you guys. If you got any ability to advocate, go out there and advocate together. Okay, all I know is in Florida, I put together a D8 with the O, worked out great, but I'm custies too. I'm custies too. I'm not quite understanding the question there, Justin. Florida, I put together a D8 with the O, worked out great, but I'm about to so Delta 8 acetate. Good stuff. From what I hear, that is what I hear. That is good stuff. I don't really know. I don't really know about Kansas. I have not ventured into Kansas too much. I currently have no laboratory operations going on in Kansas, and therefore my research and development team for the building of new businesses has not really done any research in Kansas. I could look into that and get back to you if you wanted to send me an email. But as far as that, I'm not too sure, and I don't want to give you a bunch of information that I'm not 100% sure is accurate and or correct. So guys, I mean, we've been on, 18 minutes, 30 seconds here. Get your questions in there. How often do you have a consultant that's willing to sit here with you and go through all of those things? If you've got any questions around your laboratory, now would be an amazing time to hop on and get those questions answered. If we don't get anything going here, we'll just come back the next time. We always make ourselves available to you as much as we can. We always try to do a little bit of covering the news there as well. I got some super huge, exciting news for you. I'm working with 2 different companies to develop some machines that are, I think, going to revolutionize the way that people are extracting and post-producing in their laboratories. And so, Man, that's going to be big. So finally, we're getting brought on not as just equipment engineers to be able to just kind of get you, whatever these equipment engineers think that you should have as far as equipment. That way, they get you to pay, hundreds of thousands of dollars on their piece of equipment. And then you find out it doesn't really work. But actually, with these, it's three systems in total, two separate companies. I'm actually going in and developing those from the organic technician standpoint. And so the ease of use, the ability to drive costs down, all of those little minute details that go into really increasing production, throughput, quality, clarity. We're actually going to write some of our own SOPs. So you're going to be able to get a really, really solid piece of equipment that is really free from all sales and gimmicks. Because you guys know if I put my name on it, if we put WKU's name on it, then it's going to be a solid piece of equipment. So I'm super excited. Those are coming up. I will eventually get into those laboratories, and of course, with permission, I will upload a couple of shorts just so you guys can get a couple of sneak peeks as to kind of what we got going on and what we're willing to offer, what we're getting ready to offer. I'm also looking to go up there and partner with another company out in Kent, Washington, and kind of help revolutionize one of their pieces of equipment. So a lot of people are reaching out and getting into contact to try to drive the cost of their equipment down while also maintaining throughput and efficiency. And we are leading the way with that. We are also going to be working hand in hand with one of the fire marshals to actually rewrite, which probably won't be done for a few years. You know how these things they kind of crawl around. But to help rewrite the cannabis fire code so that, whenever you're building a new laboratory and you're just kind of going out there, you have no idea what's going on, you'll actually be able to, see guidance in a national fire code. I personally have nothing to do with that. I just really know and trust the gentleman that is taking care of that. I won't mention his name out here on the channel to try to keep everything as protected and confidentiality as possible. But just know that there's some big things in the work from WKU to get you guys going. And to really be able to help you further your business, especially if you are a small-time entrepreneur or a medium-time entrepreneur or even a large-scale entrepreneur. Hey, our goal is to help everybody, no matter their walk background, so offer solutions for everybody of every class of, every financial background. Sorry I speak like I do, but a player has to flow grown from 369 up. How do I touch down with you? Well, I got a bunch of different methods that you can get into contact with me. So if you just go to the video description, you'll find everything all the way down to my cell phone number, if you wanted to do that. Instagram page. And by the way, anybody that's watching this channel still and is still with me up to this point, guys, go follow my Instagram, WKU Consulting. For some reason, I don't have a ton of followers on there, so I'd really help for a trade for all of this information that we're giving you away for free here on this YouTube channel. If you can kind of bolster our defenses and our recognition when it comes to SEO platforms by going over there, liking a couple of those pictures, giving a couple of followers, giving a couple of follows over there, I'd greatly appreciate that. Well, I'll follow you guys back. But it really helps Google kind of seeing, they want to see an entendre of, or an entourage, not an entendre, that's a different word, an entourage of different social platforms kind of garnering together. And we've neglected our Instagram, but we're trying to pick it up today. We're not big on public eye, we're big on the public heart and really helping the heart of the people, not the way that we look or creating some sort of facade to make you think that we are actually more important than we are. We just want to help the heart, but it does definitely help to have that exposure, and I'd greatly appreciate that. Yeah, man, there's no concentrates game here in Russia, only weed game, but I know in the near future it will change. Watched every one of your videos. Thank you. Hey, man, I thank you for being an active subscriber and being an active supporter of the channel. Man, people like you are amazing. People like you that learn, and that's really what we do all this for, is because you guys, you guys stick with us, and we greatly appreciate it. Really, we do. So I appreciate you as much as you appreciate me. if not more. No, I'm playing. But we appreciate each other the same. Now, how's that? But yeah, man, I really think Russia has the opportunity to step up their game around there. Actually, one of the ways that I learned how to create autoflower genetics came from Russia. That Cannabis ruderalis is actually native to the Russian continent. And the ability to get a flower down in 3 months, you have a completely mature flowering plant, is really astronomically helpful, especially if you go back and you if you go back and you reverse engineer some genetics, couple those together with breeding, then you can get a really high THC percentage with an autoflower growth rate that is just superb, right? So Russia's got some tools at their disposal. Man, I don't know. I said weed, cannabis, Russia, guns, politicians, DOJ, Biden, all on one YouTube video, man. There's no telling, man. I don't know. Hopefully we're okay still, man. You know. Cody, I got 50% total active cannabinoids on my T41 conversion. Distill it again. Cody, 50% total active cannabinoids is no good. You should be into the 75 to 80 percentile range on the first pass. So might want to go back through your SOP and make sure that we got everything down pat, and that everything is clear and concise, and that we are taking care of the feedstock, which would be the crude oil that's going in there. Okay, yeah, here we go. We'll go through it in just a minute. Amberlist 15, Doughy 50W. Let me see. Doughy 50W. Are you asking me if you can replace Amberlist 15 with Dewey 50W? What's the problem with Amberlist 15? Tell me what that problem is. I don't know. I've never used Doughy 50W. I've never used that, so I could not attribute any efficable results to that specific chemical. Yeah. So anyway, I don't really know. So you'd have to. But I'm wondering. Ooh, says Amberlist 15 equals Doughy 50W. I'm not actually quite sure. To be 100% with you. But you can find Amberlist 15 relatively easy. Are you having trouble sourcing it, or you can't buy it? He says he can't buy it in your country. Hey, I'm interested to know, what country are you in? What country are you in out there where you cannot buy that? Because China will source you just about anything that you could ever want. Cody says, I use CBD distillate at 88%. What are some tips to increase the conversion percentage? Also, where did I mess up? Was it not homogenizing the clay with the distillate long enough? That's exactly what I would think happened. Well, let me know. Were you at 100 degrees Celsius in the boiling flask for 1 hour before you started ramping up into the rest of your distillate, or did you just put the clay in there and homogenize it? And also, I will tell you that CBD distillate does not convert as readily as Delta 9 distillate. That T41 is really going to give you a great conversion when you're starting with Delta 9 distillate. If you're starting with sorry, my nose itches today, boys. If you're starting with CBD distillate, then you're not gonna have a conversion as well as if you would have started with Delta 9. But definitely spending more time in your boiling flask will attribute to a greater yield. Homogenized for only 30 minutes. Yep. So I would do an hour. And also make sure that stir bar, even still, let me say that even with the CBD distillate, you should be achieving a 75 plus percentile conversion ratio, right? So straight up. So if you're not, then definitely make sure that you're in that boiling flask for long enough, and also make sure that your stir motor is not bogged down. If your stir motor is getting bogged down by all of the clay and it's not able to stir, or your stir bar, yes, same 10% on the acid ratio, but if it's not able to homogenize properly, then that will also attribute to a decreased yield. So one of the ways that you can combat that, if in fact, and I know it is difficult to identify that stir bar in all of that black oil and clay, however, if you feel like that stir bar is skipping or it's slowing down, one of the ways that you can do is on a magnetic hot plate before it goes into the boiling flask, then you can be homogenizing your T41 with your crude oil before it ever even goes into your boiling flask, to really just make sure that everything is homogenized, mixed up, and all of the clay is interacting with the cannabinoids before you even put it in your boiling flask. That's another way that you can back research and develop that. Sweaty Footage, what's up, man? You would decarb would decarb THCA isolate give you water clear if distilled? Would it give you water clear if you distilled THCA isolate? So THC isolate should be a rock. You would have to redissolve it in order to distill it, and I do not know why I would distill THCA isolate, because THC isolate should be a 99 percentile THCA. If you decarbed THCA isolate, then you would just end up with THC, right? So there's a couple of different things that I'm not quite understanding in the question, but you should not have to distill THCA, because THCA will be a clear crystal to begin with. It should be clear, especially if you washed it free of all of the terp sauce or anything that was left over there in your isolation. So anyway, no, decarb denied. Okay, so one of the ways, if you wanted to go to Sweaty Footage, if you wanted to go check out my video that I got there on how to make water clear first pass distillate, go check out that video. So clean first pass distillate. One of the ways that you can really help to get a clear oil is to make sure that you're doing a proper LEL procedure, and so, or LLE procedure. And if you're doing a proper LLE procedure, that will definitely help you. As far as having a THC isolate at a 99 percentile, distillate is not going to help you change that color any. And I would think that if you are at a less than 99% THC isolate, then you are not, in fact, at an isolate. You still have contaminants, whether you want to call those terpenes or whatever those are. You still have contaminants in there. But go check out that video, how to make clear, clean, first pass distillate. And that'll kind of help you get you in the right direction in the future, I do believe. Only them boards in Florida will crystal. And you know what? I built a couple of different laboratories in Florida. I also took my wife out there for our 2-year anniversary. I love Florida. I love Florida, man. Beautiful weather. Beautiful, 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 beautiful weather. The more you heat, the more color you will get. Yeah, I would... Okay, distillate versus isolate with T41 conversion. Pros versus cons, please, and I'll let you finish the stream. Okay, let me answer Justin's first. The more you heat, the more color you get. Okay, I'm in total agreement, but I do not know why we would be heating our THC isolate anyway. THC isolate is best done subcritical temperatures, negative 30 degrees Celsius, in order to get those THCs to crash out, especially if you are feeding THC. The only thing that you should be doing after that is washing and then sticking in the oven to dry the solvent that you washed it with. Very, 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 I don't know. Maybe you guys understand something that I'm not understanding. Brad says he understands and he's got it. I'm not understanding the question. So anyway, distillate versus isolate with T41 conversion. Okay, distillate with T41 conversion, and actually starting with crude oil is the best way to use your T41 conversion, but I would not recommend going with isolate unless you are using a different process. Now, if you are in the process of using isolate instead of distillate, then you can actually achieve a 90 percentile conversion, and you can do that with Amberlist 15 or PTSA and heptane. So if you're starting with isolate, then I would suggest that you get that SOP and melt all of your isolate, introduce it into some heptane, add 5% PTSA by weight, and then that's going to give you a much better conversion than messing around with your T41. You're not really going to be able to get a great conversion with T41 and isolate, period. You definitely want to start with crude oil. You can start with distillate. Now that we have identified that, that probably also helped attribute to your decrease in yield. The best way is to start with crude oil, CBD crude oil that you want to distill. Yeah, so the PTSA and the Amberlist 15 are being ordered tomorrow. That's the way that you wanted to go. The T41, you're going to have mixed results. You will get some conversion with isolate, but I think that you would just be wasting your time and your resources, which is actually money. So that's not something that I would suggest. James says, what's up, Pittsburgh? Saying hello. We are still hanging in there. Is washing hemp and ethanol the best way to get started for price point? It's just so expensive to get going. James, I feel you. As far as washing hemp, I really do not see a better solution. Than using ethanol, cold extracted ethanol, especially with hemp. There are some people that will argue with me and say that CO2 is the way to go. I say that because CO2 strips out every fat and lipid available in that entire freaking plant and makes winterization and post-production so much of a hassle. You're just basically pulling your hair out with all the money that you had to invest just to be able to get a highly purified crude oil and then into distillate. I think that it is not advantageous. It's not advantageous to go that route. So ethanol is going to be your best bet. It's going to be your cheapest bet. And I know it is super expensive to get going. That is the price to pay to play. You pay to play, and the equipment is not cheap around here. I will tell you that before everybody got going and stuff like that, when there was not a bunch of equipment providers offering all these things that we were doing, I mean, I was using a jacketed 55-gallon drum inside of another 100-gallon drum that was filled with dry ice and isopropyl, and I was hand mixing all of my extract, kind of like you used to make bubble hash in ice water. That's the same way that I was extracting my hemp back in the day. So, there are ways to get around it if you wanted to be a little bit creative, but I know it's expensive. It's expensive to play, and actually ethanol would be my number one preferred solution, especially with hemp. Now, you could use propane, butane as well and probably drive the price point a little bit down. And propane and butane is also a great way to extract that crude oil. Why is crude the best, if I may ask? Because you have more opportunity to come into contact in the crude format with more of those cannabinoids to get them to transfer over. After you have condensed all of your cannabinoids, boiled them off and turned them back, recondensed them, it actually attributes to a less surface area coming into contact with your catalytic material, which is going to be your T41. So crude oil is the way to start. Should people cure buds before they blast with butane? Well, that's just up to you. Grace Venture says, should people cure buds before they blast with butane? That's just up to you. I mean, you can cure buds before you blast with butane, and that will give a great result. But actually, my favorite way to do things is to use fresh frozen. So that means as soon as I harvest the material, I will freeze it down at negative 20 degrees Celsius, and I will keep it at negative 20 degrees Celsius until I'm ready to run it. That's what, hey, is fresh frozen cured? No, exactly. Sweaty footage, he's got it. You don't need to go crazy with curing it as long as it ain't damp, but I'll leave it to the experts. I mean, you can cure it and you cannot cure it. It just depends on what you're trying to make. You are going to have a different yield and also a different color and consistency, but in my personal opinion, there is no better extract when it comes to LPG closed loop systems than a fresh frozen extract. Now, the most important part is that you do not let the plant die. If you're talking about just harvesting and sticking on a shelf somewhere where it can get all moldy before you go and extract it, that's not going to work. You don't need to cure it, but by not curing it, you will need to take care of the material by cutting it. So you want to harvest it, bucket, get all those water leaves off of it, and then freeze it and bag it immediately. Now then you can, and then when you get ready to load your material socks, then because it's frozen, it will strip off the stem very easily. So you can just take a glove over the hand here, take the buds and rip them off, and that's a way that you can get that done too. We have to pay attention to the next farm bill. They're trying to make all psychoactive hemp-derived cannabinoids be under 1% total. We must make sure that the USDA keeps hemp-derived cannabinoids, or they can just go ahead and legalize cannabinoids, period. So anyway, legalize the cannabinoids. Stop messing around with the farm bill, period, and let's just get some legislation going. These people are ridiculous. We shouldn't even be having to have this conversation, but I know it's a slow process. BZ says indoor open blasting, LOL. No, please do not do that. But I know some people, and this is unfortunate, but I know some people that are actually still open blasting, and they're making fire product. Now, they're taking the necessary safety precautions, and I never would advocate for open blasting, but they find that it's actually cheaper to throw away the can of butane that you're open blasting with than it is to pay all of the cost for infrastructure, electricity, and everything like that to recover it. To recover that butane and reuse it. And I get it, man. It's the price point that is driving them to do that. But please don't indoor open blast. We're on board, but there's not many growers just to make shipment getting through inflation. 17 on the chat. Put is in the game, coach. Fam, I'm sorry, but we're on board. But there's not many growers just to make ship. But I don't really getting through inflation. How can I put you on game? Let me know the game, and I'll do what I can to put you on it, Justin. Freezer job to separate the trichomes. Anyway, I'm new to the channel. Way cool. No, you don't necessarily, I mean, you could do some sort of vibrating screen to separate those trichomes. You don't necessarily have to freeze to separate the trichomes. You can keep them intact with the bud. If you're talking about what we were talking about, do you need to cure your material? Keep them in contact, freeze them, and let them go. Legal, we have to advocate for total Delta-9 THC at 1% total as the Farm Bill when tested at the USDA. Yeah, that'd be real nice. But then there'd be a lot of, James says, we got to advocate for that 1% instead of that 0.3%. That'd be real nice. But also, there you go. He's, you're going to have a lot of people getting high on CBD oil at 1%. And even, guys, you want to know something interesting that I found in chemistry? Have you ever eaten CBD isolate or taken any type of CBD isolate, and then you find that you actually get some psychoactive effects? I actually found that the exact same way that CBD isolate will convert to Delta-8 with acid, by using acid. Your stomach acid will actually in vitro convert some of that CBD molecule into a Delta-8 psychoactive molecule, thus inducing a psychoactive effect when it bonds to your CB1 and CB2 receptors. There you go. Okay, awesome answer. That's basically exactly what my buddy is doing. Thanks. He's not open blasting. He has a nice closed loop system. Man, that's great, Grace. I'm glad you guys are going. I'm in the UK. It sucks here, but hopefully we're getting there. Hey, man, Germany is right down the road, and they are popping off right now. Cody Dean says, advocate for all cannabinoids. No limit soldiers. Haha. Yeah, exactly. Advocate for all the cannabinoids. The Department of Justice just said that there is no legislation or there's no research or data verifiable that cannabinoids have any medicinal use whatsoever. These guys are idiots. I'm open blasting for myself. I have no other choice. Yeah, well, I understand. That's how I started out, was open blasting. I get it. Believe me, I get it. But it's safer. It's safer in a closed loop system. It's safer. So you just be very careful out there. How do you feel about THCP? I think it's amazing. It's a 7 homolog or a 7 chain THC, and I think it's amazing. And I think that the Italian researchers that actually discovered it and put us all on game on how to synthetically make it, they do a great thing. I personally have not tried any THCP myself, but I've taught many people how to make it. They have great results, and I find that people think, or they say that it's 33%. Gets you 33% more higher. It's 33% stronger due to the affinity to bond with the CB1 and CB2 receptors than your normal Delta-9 THC. James says, I don't understand. How would you get high on CBD oil? All right. So there's two ways. Number one, if you've got more 1% of THC, that is going to attribute to some sort of feelable solution in your body anatomically. You are going to feel the 1% THC, guaranteed, especially if you've never smoked THC before. It's going to pop, I guarantee. And not to mention, that's what I was just talking about, that ingesting only. Now, when you smoke CBD oil, you should not be feeling high unless it's got some THC percentage in there. 0.3% is not enough, but 1% is enough to give you a little bit of a feeling, especially if you don't use it. But if you eat CBD, then you can actually convert some of that CBD into your stomach the exact same way that you would convert it in a laboratory. You could convert that biochemically in your stomach into some residual delta 9 and delta 8, and therefore it would bond with your CB1 and CB2 receptors, making you feel a little bit psychoactive. We're taking antacids with CBN. Yeah, man. Yeah. No shaded open blasting. Just hoping the person doing it isn't dumb. Me too, man. Because the last thing that I would want to see is someone get hurt out there. Would taking antacids with CBD help with no psychoactive effects? I'm not sure if it would work like that. Okay, dude, you're reading every comment. You rock. I should have way more than 4,300 subs on there. I have a small channel with only 473 subs. How long do you usually leave, say, 1 ounce in the vac chamber? Oh, it's all right, man. We'll grow. We'll grow, Exposure has to happen, and there's only compound groove, so, I don't know, whatever there is. H4 CBD is just CBDP, man. They're just coming up with a bunch of different names for this stuff. Yeah, we'll grow. Don't worry. One day, we'll be at 1 million subscribers. I'm completely confident, and at that point, hopefully we have helped. But right now, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to answer every comment. It's very difficult to answer every question, to help every person, and to be able to develop an intimate relationship with every one of my subscribers. Even at 4,300 subscribers, it gets difficult to do that. So, once you start getting into the 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 area, it gets even more difficult. And so I do while I would love to grow and become astronomically infamous, if you will, that would be great. It'd be great for business. However, there is a certain value to be able to develop an intimate relationship with every one of the people. Every one of the people going. Marketer's going to market straight up. Asking for an elderly patient, claims he gets high, and I believe it's the same acid conversion, and disclaim no high CBD edibles. Yeah, well, that's exactly what we were talking about, Brad. That's that acid in your stomach is going to convert some. Maybe you would tell him to stop ingesting, and rather move to smoking a vape pen or something like that if he did not want those psychoactive properties. I do not think that antacids are going to give you an ability to stop that conversion mid-conversion. Although it is not a huge conversion, you're obviously not going to have a 99% conversion, but there you go. I have grown hemp that was 32% CBD at 0.09. If it's at 9 at 0.3, wouldn't that just be the same when converted? Couldn't you dilute it or remediate it? Yes, you could do both of those. You could dilute and remediate. Both. You could do both. But I know that you think that it would just stay at 0.3%, but it's 0.3%, just like it's 32% THC or CBD. Well, if you want to distill that and you want to increase the purity and concentrates, that's why it's called concentrates, right? Then you would increase your CBD percentage. Well, since you are concentrating, removing more of the poor material and getting more of the isolated material, which is the cannabinoid content that you're looking at, then naturally that 0.09 would go up. That 0.09 would go up as it becomes concentrated. CBDP, THCP, what is the difference? Okay, well, the CBDP molecule will not get you high. It's just the 7-chain CBD molecule. So it will have a greater affinity to bond to your CB1 and CB2 receptors. But it's not going to get you high. However, if you can isolate CBDP isolate, man, converting that into THCP, that's the only real way to do this cost effectively, because if you're building synthetic THCP, it's very, very difficult. It's very, very difficult. And what I mean by difficult is not the organic synthesis process. That's actually relatively easy. What is difficult is sourcing or building from scratch the 5-heptylresorcinol necessary for the building block, or the spherosporol necessary for the building blocks to start your THCP building synthesis. That's what gets pricey. So that's why you get $18,000, $19,000, $20,000 a kilo for THCP. If you can isolate CBDP, for instance, in the FM2 strain, where you have, a 28 percentile CBDP, if you can get a large quantity of that and then isolate that, then you can convert it into THCP the exact same way that you convert CBD into any type of THC. And so that is a great solution to be able to get a lot of quantity out of that. Whew, guys, I'm thirsty. I mean, I'm thirsty. Anyone else out there thirsty? I'm thirsty in the sense of being actually thirsty. Got a little coffee. What do you guys think about my mug here? Oh, can you see it? There you go. Got the caffeine molecule for all you chemists out there. Bam. This was gifted to me by somebody. It's mainly just milk and coffee, just how I like it. Guys, that's a lot of information, and I'm in it for about 50 minutes now. I love all you guys, man. You guys are awesome. You're the reason that I keep, you're the reason for the season. You're the reason for the season. So, you guys can always reach out to me with any questions or comments. I do my best to answer any one of them. Everybody that's watching, if you go to the Instagram page and give me a nice little follow, I'll follow you back, and I would greatly appreciate it. You guys are a blessing. It has been a privilege, an honor, nay, a blessing to be able to consult and teach with you guys today. We'll see you in the next video. Peace out.